Hi everyone, this is an instructional video on how to go ahead and use Packback. We have our first due date this Saturday. All due dates for Packback are going to be 11:59 on Saturday night. If there are any due dates changed, you'll find that in the course calendar under course materials. So first thing you're going to do when you get to Packback, packback.co. If you guys have not signed up yet, there are instructions on that in the eCampus. So going through, we're going to go to login, US login. And once you log in, I automatically log in because I'm already logged in on this computer. But when you click US login, it'll bring you to a page to enter your username and your password. And then you'll see your community. All right. So when we get to that main screen, that main community feed, what we're going to see is our next deadline up at the top. So we know we have a deadline on the 28th. These are going to be pretty accurate, but always take that second look on the eCampus calendar to make sure that when that deadline is due. So like I said, we're on our community feed and we can see all of the questions asked. I've asked the first two. So this was our question from the first week. That was just a starter, and this pinned question. So I'm always going to pin the question of the week that we are working on. So this is our first question right here, okay? What we're gonna do is just go ahead and read this. So our first Packback question, as we know that we need to make these Packback questions related to the topics we're working on that week. So I went through and just asked about those topics that are valid for this week's Packback deadline. So this is going to, once again, this pinned question from me is going to give you the content you can ask questions on. It's going to talk about which week we're in, when the deadline's due, and all of that. So now finally to asking that first question. We're going to go up here and click ask a new question. As I said, please make sure you're not responding here with your question, or else you will not receive credit for your question that week. It needs to be posted in ask a new question. So going here, first off, we're going to see to the right here are posting guidelines and tips for writing these questions. So reading through some of these, once again, we're going to have to apply the content we're learning in this course to the real world. And in doing so, you will gain more points. Using media and resources to back up your question will improve your curiosity score. Finding a connection between two courses, reading through a lot of your introductions. Not many of you are just straight economics majors. A lot of you have secondary majors or are working in some other field and taking this course as an elective. So finding a connection between two courses, you're going to find economics is a social science, and you'll find a lot of connections with psychology, with just so many different things. In so many different majors. Seeking classmates' perspectives, share a relevant personal experience or view, and ask your classmates to share their own. So that's kind of one that you'll be using at your discretion. You do need to make sure that each week you are asking a question. So we'd love you to share your perspective, but please make sure it's in question format. All right, so actually writing the question. We can see right here, our AI needs at least 20 words to analyze and provide feedback. So as I'm writing my question, I will get live updates. These aren't exact curiosity scores that you'll end up with, but you'll get a range of what to expect your question to be scored as I'm typing. So like I said, let's go ahead and just write in what is your question. We talked this week about, once again, module 1. So that was chapters 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 16. So anything from these chapters is fair game. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask a new question about trade. how do countries cooperate in order to make overseas trades? Okay, so 60, I can see that I have 61 characters here. Not enough words for them to analyze and provide any feedback yet. So now what I do is go down here and add a description to my question. So if I want to know how trade works with overseas countries, I can go down here and say, after reading about trade in commercial society, I've realized how important cooperation and trade are to society. So now, after going through and adding a little bit of a description, I can see here to my right, instant feedback. Now that I have more than 20 words for my question, I have instant feedback telling me that my curiosity score is going to be somewhere between 31 and 70. Once again, I need to meet that minimum 60 curiosity range. And I won't know exactly what my curiosity score is until I submit post. So one thing is that if you do not reach that 60 minimum curiosity score the first time, I'll go through and moderate as much as I can, and you'll get a notification. But if you realize right away that you did not hit that minimum of 60 curiosity points, you can go back in and edit your question as well. So as I said, there are other links to add in, computer links, resources, to add in videos, images, a folder image from a folder, and any other kind of documents. They give you options up here to add those. Citing your source, I can cite Commercial Society. If I use that, I can cite whatever papers I'm using to get any kind of information I used. Anything that would need cited up here, I need to cite my source down here. So in this case, I'm just going to use Commercial Society. So after doing this, 42 words, this is not, I will say right away, this is not a super great Packback question. This is not a Packback question I would submit right away, knowing that my curiosity score range is pretty low still. I might not hit that 60 words. So let's go ahead and see, submitting post. Let's go ahead and see how many curiosity points I got. Coming down here, I can see the time, the date that I posted, and I can see my curiosity score. So I only got 55 points on this, okay? So clicking on that curiosity score, it'll tell you how they score it, how they calculate it with that algorithm. But the most important thing is, if I do not hit that 60, those 60 minimum curiosity points, I can go through and edit. So what I will do for any questions that I see that do not have that minimum of 60, I'll go through and give feedback, and you'll receive that notification. But like I said, you should be able to edit your posts as needed if you go ahead and post it and see that you did not reach that minimum score. Think about adding in a link, a resource, a citation, anything that could help your question. All right, so if I go to the community, now I'll see my pinned first question, and then that second question I ask. Once all of you start asking questions, they're going to populate this entire screen. Okay, so I hope this helped. One last thing I want to make clear, like I said, this main question right here must be in question format. It must end with a question mark in order to post, okay? If there are any questions on this, please let me know. Go ahead and play around with it. There are also featured posts. There are leaderboards. There are details on our community. Packback is a really cool thing, so go ahead and play around with it. As I said, once you guys start populating this community feed with questions throughout the deadlines, I can come right in here and I'll be able to see all of your questions, okay? And then lastly, as I said, I can moderate, I can give feedback, I can pin a question. I can moderate a question. So if a question is a duplicate, or if a question is off topic, inappropriate, I can delete it. And I do have discretion to do so. So make sure it's on topic. I'll be checking through those. And that is how you ask a question in Packback. So while we're here, let's go ahead and look at the responses in Packback, because it's basically the same thing. All we're doing is just, at this point, we are not asking the question, we're adding a response. So I can post a response here, and this is what that response guideline or that response page is going to look like. Once again, on the right, we have those posting guidelines. I can summarize my perspective. These responses do not need to be in that question format. So if I were to say, okay, so I can go through and show you that what is the thesis of my response, and in replying, I can do one generic, one broad statement about my response, my perspective on this question. And then once again, down here, I have to come and fill in more details about my response, back up my response with citations, sources, scholarly papers, websites, news articles, whatever it may be. Okay, so I can submit this post. I know it's probably not going to have reached that 60 minimum curiosity point. So once again, I would go through and see that I did not reach those 20, so I can edit my own post to keep adding into it until I do reach that minimum 60 to get credit. Okay, responses, I will say, are one thing that I don't go through as much to check for that minimum 60 curiosity points, but you should know that these responses are worth just as much as asking that question. So you want to make sure that you are reaching that minimum score, that baseline score, so we get credit each week. Okay. All right, so that is Packback. If there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Our first deadline, once again, is this Saturday. So make sure you have that done before midnight of this Saturday. All right, and hopefully you love Packback just as much as I do. Thanks.